Hello, welcome back to the Watford Way, where today I'm joined by Callum to be ranking Watford players based on their season so far. Right, here we go. Firstly, Callum as the guest on the video today. How are you? Are you looking forward to the festive period?
Where am I, first of all? What is this place? I've not been here in a few months, but yeah, it's pleasure to be back on, James. Thank you very much for having me back on. And yeah, I'm excited to do this tier list. It's been an interesting start to the season, and it's gonna be a cool way to rank stuff and a cool way to make my return. In terms of the festive season, I mean, I think everyone enjoys it to a certain point where you're not rinsing your bank account out. But apart from that, the whole vibe of the season is coming soon. It's only in a few days, and I'm really, really excited.
Yes, so there's about 26 players to rank today, so quite a lot to get through. And I'm going to spend about a minute or so on each player, deciding where they should go. You can see we've got 5 ranks there, starting at S tier, which is basically the best you can possibly be, going all the way down to D. We're also going to be ranking Tom Cleverley at the very end of the video to see how he's comparing in his performance compared to what we thought at the very start of the season. But Callum, let's get straight into it with our first player on this tier list, and it's Matty Pollock, who I personally think is having a fantastic season so far. Many people labelling him as a future Watford captain. For me, he's been, top 3 performers this season. I would put him straight into S tier. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. Absolutely. Alongside Portis, he's been an absolute rock at the back for us this season. Still so young, still so much to prove, especially in the Championship. I do think if he carries on the performances that he's having and showing those leadership qualities across the season and across many seasons to come, he can definitely become a stalwart Premier League player. Alongside that as well, he is also the second highest assisted that we have at the club as well. 90 games played and 3 assists, just behind another player which we're going to mention in Georgie Chapadate a bit later on in the video. But yeah, I think I'd definitely put him in the top 4, maybe top 3, like you said as well, in terms of all-round play, how well he's been how well he's adapted to Tom Cleverley's to system and the squad. And yeah, I think he's definitely been someone who's been so vital in how we've been performing first half of the season.
Fantastic stuff. So Matty Pollock goes straight into S tier. The next player to rank is Watford goalkeeper Daniel Bachmann, who is a relatively controversial figure within the fan base. I actually think he's had a pretty decent season. Not as good as Matty Pollock, perhaps, but I think for me, Cal, Daniel Bachmann has made some big saves. I think it's been crucial in us picking up quite a few clean sheets, especially at Vicarage Road. So if I was to choose Daniel Bachmann's tier, I reckon I would put him in B. Would you agree with that? Or would you go with something different, perhaps?
Took the words right out of my mouth. I put him in B as well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with Dan Backman, he's been at the club. He's an unreal servant for Watford. He's been here for so many years. Has been our main starting goalkeeper. Obviously, we've had people like Ben Foster, Aurelio Gomez, many other goalkeepers to name a few. But he has been there, and he has always been every time he's played a solid backup or a solid starting option for us. Uh, he does have his moments, and I think that's definitely shown over the season. Now he's starting to show his age a little bit. And among all the people that I've spoken to, that's either on Instagram or just some of my friends whilst watching Watford games, you can see he does have quite a few mistakes in him commonly. But on the flip side to that, he has put in a few vital saves for us that have kept us in a few games and have really collected us a few points through team errors. So yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't put him anywhere near C or below. I think he definitely belongs in the top 3 tiers. And yeah, I think B is a suitable place for him.
Right, Cal, we're going to whiz through a few quick fire selections now. So I'll come to you for the first one. It's Daniel Jefferson on loan from Bournemouth. Where's his ranking for you?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Dan Jefferson. I mean, he came into the season when we signed him on loan. Everyone thought, this was going to be one of the best signings of our window. But yeah, nine games played, 0 goals. There's only really one place you can put him for me. He's really not lived up to the expectation, and that is unfortunately going to have to be in the rock bottom tier, D tier for me.
Thank you very much. And I totally agree with that, Cal. I do think he hasn't been given maybe as many minutes as he could have done. He has been limited to only 2 starts in them 9 appearances that you mentioned. So, yeah, it looks like he probably will get recalled in January, which is a shame because, he was a player I was really excited about. But, yeah, based on his performances from what we've seen so far, I think you are right, Daniel Jefferson in D tier. The next one I'll do is Antonio Tikvic, who has really been limited to a few cup appearances this season for Watford. And again, we've not got much to base him on, but I think the loan from Udinese, for me, was a very strange one at the time. And again, it's really just not contributed to this Watford season at all. So very easy one for me. Antonio Tikvic goes into D tier. Back to some of our more first team centered players, Cal. Let's go with our new player. Well, not new. He's been at the club for quite a while, but he's broken onto the scene this season. It's Kwadwo Bar, who has had a big impact, especially from the bench. For me, if I was to rank this, I'd put Kwadwo Bar maybe in A or S tier. Where would you rank him from your perspective?
So for me, yeah, I completely agree. He has had a real breakthrough season, and I think that's exactly why I don't think I'm going to put him in S tier just yet, purely because he hasn't proved himself season upon season, like per se someone like Matty Pollock has, or someone like that who has been a stalwart in our first team. But like if you have a look at some of his stats, he is in our top 4 assists and our top 4 goal scorers across this season, which is, I think you'd agree, an absolutely incredible season for a breakthrough star. So I think just for now, I'd probably put him in A, but I think definitely give him maybe 1 or 2 more seasons, maybe see how he gets on next season, and then we can definitely put him in conversations for making one of our most vital players.
Yeah, totally agree. Kwadwo Bar, a really, really exciting prospect. Has been at the club for about 3 years prior to this season, out on various loan spells, of course. And Tom Cleverley is really getting the best out of him in our most recent game. As we record this against Hull City, he picked up the assist for Rocco Vatta's goal. And yeah, as Cal said, he's performing really, really well in the cameo appearances he's had so far. So I think A is very much deserved for Kwadwo Bar. Moving on to the next player, I shall decide this one. And let's go with... who should I go with? Let's go with Ryan Andrews, one of our own, obviously from the academy. A bit hit and miss for me from Ryan Andrews this season. I don't think he's been exceptional. I don't think he's been terrible, but I do think he can perform a lot better than he has. Yes, he's scored, I think, 3 goals so far, this year, which is fantastic. But defensively, he still has some work to do. So for me, I don't think he deserves D tier. I don't actually think he even deserves C tier. I'm going to put Ryan Andrews towards the bottom end of B. Work to do, but it's one of our own. It's what we like to see, players coming through the academy. And of course, he's got some vital goal contributions as well. So very quickly, Cal, do you agree with B for Ryan Andrews?
Yeah, well, I agree with B, like you said there, in terms of like he has a bit of work to do, and of course that does come with experience. He is still extremely young, and of course being one of our own, he has now also become pretty much a fan favourite. He is in our top 3 goal scorers, but again, that was just due to an electric start of the season, and he has been quite a good all-round player. But again, like we both said there, it just takes a bit of experience. And I think once he improves his all-round game, focuses on defending and really honing his position, he can definitely then make in a conversation for A or S in the future.
Absolutely. A couple more quick fire ones for you, Cal. Where would you rank our very much injury prone player, Jeremy Ngakia? Where does he rank in this tier list for you?
It's a bit of a hard one because again, he is hit or miss. I think on his day, I think he is a really good player, and I think sometimes I say good player. I think he has the talent, he has the potential. I still think he can hit heights which I don't think we really expect him to, and hasn't shown it in a Watford shirt just yet. And especially when I've seen him in real life. I don't know if you feel the same, James, but he almost feels like he's a bit timid, a bit nervous whenever he's on the ball. I don't know whether that's just down to inexperience playing, and especially when we were in the Premier League, and he was with us, just a bit of a can't really adapt to the English game that fast. I think in the Championship, I was hoping that it would calm down the intensity a little bit, a bit less intense than the Premier League, but unfortunately, that hasn't shown. Again, we can just have a look at his stats there. He's played 4 times for us. He's got 0 goals and 0 assists. I think that kind of puts in a word
Wow,
for us.
really?
And
Is that true? He's got no goal contributions in his entire Watford career. Is that right?
not in his Watford career now. I'm just going off based off of this season. I can
Oh,
see
this
he's played
season,
40.
right?
Yeah, this season. Yeah, so for 4 times, he's played 4 times, 0 goals, 0 assists. I think you have to put in a conversation. I think either C or D. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna have to whack him in D.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't want to spend too long talking about these types of players, but Ngakia, very injury prone. I think Cal was alluding to there that he's defensively, a lot better. Going back than going forward. I think Ryan Andrews is very different. Where offensively he's really good, but defensively not great. Whereas Ngakia defensively very good, offensively not so good. So yeah, I think it's unlucky to be in that position with Jefferson and Tikvich there, but yeah, he's got a really poor injury record. It's not down to him necessarily, but yeah, I think for the long term, Watford should be moving him on. Jonathan Bond for me, I'll just put this one in very quickly. Obviously, he come into the team when Daniel Bachmann was injured. He performed very, very well. Didn't make any errors from my memory. So actually, I think Jonathan Bond probably goes into C tier. A solid professional, was there for Watford when we needed him, and a good backup to Daniel Bachmann. So that is where I would put Jonathan Bond. Going back to one of our more exciting players, Cal, and I think I can predict already where this player is going to go in your tier list. We're talking about Georgie Shafatatse here, who, yes, doesn't get as many goal contributions as we would like, but surely, Cal, you have to agree he is the best technical player in this Watford team at this current moment in time.
Oh, Georgian magician, he absolutely is. He's an absolute maestro. He has been one of our I think top 2 standout players in the Watford team this season. Just out of like you said there, while he doesn't contribute too much towards goals and assists, I just want to quickly point out he is our top assister this season. He's played 19 times for us the entirety of the Premier League, of the Championship season so far, and he has got 4 assists in that. Not so much a goal scorer, but I think just technically and providing the goals, providing that service that we need for some other players that we're going to mention in the tier list a bit later on, in getting those goals and being so vital to how many points we've picked up. He has to be on our top, in my top 2. I don't know about you, James, but for me, he's going straight in S. That's what I know for certain.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll put him into S tier. I think what I was alluding to there, Cal, in regards to his assists and goals was I think he can do a lot more than he is. Now, we all know he is a very talented player. He is the best player in this team. We've seen it in previous seasons when Pedro's been here, Espria last year as well, where we have these really talented attacking players, but ultimately you just want more goal contributions. And I do think that will come eventually. But for me, I would maybe put him just under Matty Pollock in terms of my favourite players this season, just because I do feel he can do more. Releasing the ball quicker, being a bit more decisive with his final pass. But yeah, I agree with the tier you've chosen. I just want him to give us a bit more. But yeah, totally agree with you there, Cal. This player here we'll move on to next. Let's get him out the way, Callum. He is a player who frustrates the hell out of me if you watch my live match watch-alongs. It's Vacuum Bio. 7 goals so far this season in the Championship from Vacuum Bio. But for me, I think is in C tier. Do you agree with that, Cal, or am I being a bit too harsh there with Bio?
I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from in terms of putting him in C tier. I mean, he is our top scorer, but apart from that, it's either with Bayern. What I've seen over the last few seasons is that he's either he has the game of his life, and I'll take for example the game where he scored the hat trick for us. I'll score 4 goals. I can't remember. My God, it's been a long day. And he scored. I think it was 4 goals for us
Yeah,
in one of
Sheffield
the
Wednesday
games.
away. You're referring
Sheffield
to.
Wednesday, that was
Yeah.
it. Yeah, where he scored 4 goals for us, or he's either got his boots on backwards and can't shoot for us whatsoever. So it's either one of the two. He's a very mixed bag. So I can get where you're coming from in terms of that. I would personally put him just in the bottom of B, just below Ryan Andrews, but I can see
Okay.
what you mean if you're putting in a call for C.
Yeah, you know what, Cal? I think I think you've probably just about convinced me. I mean, we'll come back to this at the very end of the video, of course, to kind of assess where we've put everyone. But yeah, for now, I'll be nice to him because he did score them 4 goals against Sheffield Wednesday away. Yeah, vacuum bio, just just at the bottom of B tier there, just for you, Cal, because I do know, yeah, you like him more than me. So yeah, I'll make a compromise on that one. The man who scored the goal in our most recent game against Hull City as we record this, Rocco Vata, is up next, Callum. He's a player who hasn't maybe featured as much as he would have liked from the start of matches, but he's been making good impacts off the bench. Obviously scoring his first goal against Hull. For me, Rocco Vata isn't quite up there with Kwadwo Bar just yet due to his lack of game time. I think he'll get there eventually. But I think for now, Rocco Vata is probably again towards the bottom end of B tier. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, nine games, 1 goal, 0 assists. But to be fair, you can't blame the lad for his lack of game time. He is still incredibly young, and I feel like he has a lot more left in him at the club. Yeah, I think if he does get picked more throughout the seasons, he can definitely prove his worth, and he can definitely bag a few more, especially with the services on the players that we have already. So I would put him in B tier, just around the bottom there. Personally, I've just seen there sneakily whilst I was speaking, you put him above Vacuum Pio. Personally, I would just I know he's a mixed bag. He's a mixed bag, but I think this could be a hot take here. But personally, I will just put this out here as a bit of attention or clip farming, I guess you could say, for your channel, where I think give Rocco Vata 3 or 4 more seasons at the club if he can hold on to that contract that he's got, and he will be one of our mainstay players in the team.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's the ready-made Georgie Shafatatse replacement for when Georgie does eventually move on to bigger and better things. He's still a very raw talent. I think Tom Cleverley's mentioned he needs to do the basics better out of possession. But yeah, on the ball, Rocco Vata looks very, very exciting. And yeah, just for you, Cal, you can see there I've moved him now back below Vacuum Bio again, just for you. So yeah, we'll move on from that one.
It's the Vacuum Bio agenda I think we've got here.
I know. I'm sorry, but you know that is my opinion. At the end of the day, I'm not a huge bio fan. So yeah, we'll move on to the next couple of players. Let's go with Mamadou Doumbia, a player we don't know too much about. Again, a bit like Rocco Vata, limited to just a few appearances this season. Joined the club in the summer, Callum. Where would you put Mamadou Doumbia? I think it's unfair to put him in D because we've not seen enough to judge him too much. But would C suffice for Doumbia? A good few cameo appearances off the bench, can hold up the ball quite well.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, another young prospect of ours, and I don't think anyone really expected when we signed him to really have that amount of game time in the first team. But every single time he has come on off the bench for cameo appearances, he has shown that he's got some flair. He is rapid as well. I don't know if you've seen his games for Mali in his national team. He has been he's extremely fast, and I think if he can keep that pace while still being really young, just focusing and honing on his finishing, and really improving his overall game. We can definitely see him get a few more appearances for us, even starts in the future. So I would put him not in D like you said there, because we can't really base him just off how many games he's had because he's not had many at all. But yeah, I think C is just about right.
Really lanky player as well. I don't know if you've watched him in real life, Callum, but yeah, he's really long-limbed. Like his arms and legs are so dangly. It's quite funny to watch. But
Stretch
yeah,
Armstrong.
yeah, exactly. I think that's a fair ranking for Mamadou Doumbia. Shall we move on to Watford captain Musa Sissoko, Cal? I think I'll take the lead on this one. Sissoko started the season quite well for me, very impressive in that midfield area alongside Tom Dele-Bashiru. Now, I think as the season's progressed and as the intensity and regularity of games have picked up towards this Christmas period, I do think Musa Sissoko is really struggling, actually. And I actually think in some performances, through no fault of his own, I think it's primarily his age, but I think he comes across as lazy at times and maybe not tracking back and doing as much defensively as he should do. So Sissoko, I think, he's scored 1 goal this season, if I'm correct in saying that. I would probably put him towards the bottom end of B tier. I don't think it's been exceptional like Barr, Georgie, and Pollock, but I don't think it's been as terrible as maybe the other players we've discussed. So I think bottom end of B tier is probably where I would put Sissoko. Quickly, Cal, do you agree with that?
Yeah, bottom of the B tier sounds about right. And I know, like with players that are as old as Sissoko, I know people are saying that age starts to show at that age, especially with such an intense league in the second tier of English football. Even across the English leagues in the third and fourth tier, they're so intense. But I do agree with you. I think sometimes he has been quite lackluster, and he has shown what I like to call my own little maxim of the Emmanuel Dennis attitude, where I feel like he's kind of playing for himself quite individually in a way, has not really
Yeah.
been that cohesive with the team. So I think just for that, I think what I do with the ranking that you placed him in, I would still keep him at B, but I'd probably place him just above Rocco Vata just because he has been
Okay.
a mainstay in the team for us. He has been one of our main midfielders. But again, even though Rocco Vata's not got that much game time, I'd still put him above there because he shows that experience and he has that experience over Rocco Vata, which I think which he lacks, which he doesn't have that much starting for.
Right, we were aiming for 30 minutes when me and Callum started this recording, so we'll rattle through the last few players as quickly as we can. Angelo Ogbonna, Cal, obviously joined the club from West Ham in the summer, has been out injured for a few weeks now, or over a month actually, with a hamstring injury. When he played, I thought he looked absolutely superb. He was up there with Matty Pollock for me in terms of Watford's best defenders. He got injured in that derby match against Luton Town and hasn't appeared for Watford since. Again, I don't think we've seen enough of him to give him a fair assessment, but he is better from what we've seen than some of the other players we've discussed, like Ngakia, Tikvich, Jebison, for example. So Ogbonna for me, Cal. Let's keep this short and sweet. I reckon he should go. Again, maybe towards the bottom end of B tier. We've got a big bunch now appearing in that middle tier.
Yeah, I think with Bonner, like it was for Jefferson when we signed him, we thought it was going to be an absolutely brilliant signing. Despite his age, he brings experience like no other player in the team. He has been an absolute veteran for West Ham, and we was hoping that we could bring the experience that he's played with in the first tier for so long to Watford and really help the young players develop. And like you said there, he had a very electric start, and unfortunately that injury that he got when he was playing against Luton has changed the season entirely, but hopefully he can come back a bit stronger next season. I know players like at his age, he's not going to have the freshest legs when he comes back, but I do trust in his experience to really help us next season to get us where we want to be if we're not promoted for next season.
Right, let's rattle through a couple more Watford defenders, Callum. Porteous and James Morris. Where would you rank them respectively?
Yeah, I'll do this really quick fire because I want to try and keep this as short as possible. And this is your video, and I don't want you to leave a ton of editing. Porteous, he's been an absolute rock at the back for us. He is for his country as well. For me, I think he goes an A tier. I'm sure you probably agree with that.
Wow, okay. That's interesting. I was thinking more upper end B tier. Do you want to quickly explain why you put him in A tier next to Quadway Bar?
Yeah, purely because I think while he's not a breakout star like Quadro Bar, and while he's not like been that impressive in the eyes, I think just purely because he's just such. I think he is quite a mainstay player in our team. Has even got a few goals from himself through the corners that we've seen him play in. Of course, not on the assist side that much because he's a defender, but I think alongside Pollock, he has been very solid and has contributed quite a lot to where we are in the table currently at the moment. So that's why I probably put him just at the bottom end of A. And you obviously got to assess people that are at top end of B, like Dan Backman and Ryan Andrews. I do think he has been better than both of them this season. So I would probably put him just in the bottom end of A.
And James Morris being deployed more as a left central defender this season rather than a left back. I actually think Morris, albeit he hasn't played much recently, but I think, especially towards the start of the season when Watford's first started playing this new system under Cleverly, I think has been absolutely exceptional. Would you agree with that in regards to James Morris? And where would you put him? Would it be towards B or maybe even A tier for Morris?
But yeah, I mean, you got to think like he's played 11 games, and for those 11 games, mind you, he is out of position, like he said there, playing most of the left central defender. He has been brilliant for us. Again, I think he can be. I reckon he can be played a lot more if he can develop and hone his game in both positions that he can play because he's proven how versatile he is. So I would probably put him because we've got how many players now we've got in B, where you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd probably put him just in the middle, have 3 either side of him in B. I reckon that's where I'd place him.
Okay, there we go. I've done that just for you, Cal. We've got a big group now in B. We'll come back to that at the very end of the video just to see if we can move a few people around maybe a bit more. I'll take the lead on the next couple of players. Let's go with Tom Ince, actually, who Tom cleverly at the start of the season said would play more football this year than he did under Valerian Ismail. But I do feel we maybe haven't seen as much as Ince as we maybe expected to. Ince, is a very experienced pro. He's been around the Championship in the Premier League for, the vast majority of his career. I don't have an issue with him personally as a player, but I do think we have better options available to us. So I think Tom Ince is a really experienced pro, hasn't played as much as I would have liked, and hasn't contributed maybe as much as I would have liked either. So Tom Ince, for me, is towards the upper end of C tier. The next player I'll talk about is Tom Dele-Bashiru, who unfortunately once again has picked up a very nasty knee injury. He's out until the new year at least. That's been reported by Watford in the last couple of press conferences. But Tom Dele, alongside Musa Sissoko at the start of the season, I thought worked really, really well. I was gutted when he did get injured. I think he got injured like Ogbonna in that Luton game, actually, which, is a shame. So Tom Dele, a difficult one. I think on his day, he's one of the best players in the division, but that day doesn't come around too regularly. Like Tom Ince, I think I would put Tom Dele maybe bottom end of B, top end of C. Would you agree with them two rankings, Cal?
Yeah, so for Tom Ince, I think he is a great player for his age. I think he is starting to show that now quite a little bit. Of course, the last thing that you lose is your shot power. I think when when you're playing football, and I think he obviously does get vital goals now and then, a few vital appearances, a few vital assists, and a few vital performances in for the team when we need him to. So I think C, or the top of C, is probably best place for him. And for what we've seen of Tom Dele-Bashiru, there we go. I was waiting for this one. I mean, this is where my bias comes into play a little bit, because I do love Tom Dele-Bashiru. I think he's alongside Mr. Sissoko. I think he is, and this is going to be a very bold claim of mine. I was waiting to say this for the entire video when we were coming on to him. I think genuinely he has the potential to be a Premier League player. I think that's a constant starting Premier League player at that. Like you said there, while the day doesn't come around as often as we want it to, he is for me one of the best players in the division in his respective position. When he's playing for Watford on those good games, or on those games where we're winning convincingly by a few goals, I think he's electric and almost unstoppable in that position. But unfortunately, that injury has really changed the outlook of our midfield. I think it's actually affected Sissoko's game a little bit as well, because obviously as they rebounded off each other so well, I think it has impacted the way that Sissoko can play and his performance in terms of controlling that midfield across the team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not gonna leave it for too long. I do think he's a superb player when he's deployed right and when he has an incredible game. But for me, I think he does just go in C for me, which is really sad, because I think he does. I think he's A for me when he plays really well.
Yeah, I think if Tom Dele avoided injury, I think it'd probably be in B tier for us, or maybe even A actually, Cal. But as I said, it's just a shame he picked up quite a major knee injury. A player who I'm not going to spend too long talking about is Kevin Caben. I think like Ngakia, Jefferson, Tikvich, he's not played too much this season, has he, Cal? So I think this is a very quick one. We've seen him in maybe 1 or 2 games very briefly. Hopefully we'll see him a lot more, because he's very highly rated. But I think he goes slap bang into D tier, doesn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think you can only judge players of how many games they've played and how well they've played in those appearances. I mean, the exact cases for Dumbia, who we've just put in C, and that's just through the appearances that he's had and how lively he's looked. And obviously, you can't really blame Kevin Caben for not having as much game time as what he has done. Hopefully, in the future, because I know he is still very young and has bags of potential, maybe a low move will do him some good and really show that he has his worth. Kind of like what Matty Pollock went for when he was obviously alone at Grimsby and did so well there, and came back as now one of the best defenders, if not one of the best players at the club. But yeah, for Kevin Caben, I think just a few more games at a different club will really suit him well, and he can hopefully find himself in a few first team appearances in the future.
Right, moving on to another couple of quick-fire players. We'll go with Ken Sema and Francisco Sierralta. Do you want to take the lead on these two, Cal?
Yeah, absolutely for sure. Yeah, so for Ken Sema, I do love Ken. He is again a very loyal servant to the club. Has been there, has got his assist as well across 14 games. But again, I still think whilst being quite versatile, because obviously he can play and deploy a lot of positions on left. He can play at left mid to left wing to even left back at some points if we really do need to deploy him there. Uh, for me, I don't know if he's really shown if he's set the world alight like he has done in seasons before. Has been one of our best players, but for me, I'd probably put him just in the middle of B, leading on to the top of B, maybe third place in B.
Really? Wow,
Yeah,
I'm surprised at that. I might have to intervene on this one. I might have to use my intervene. Yeah, Ken
interesting.
Sema towards the top of B. Why would you say that? Because, for me, I feel he's aged quite considerably. He's the only player left from our FA Cup final squad. He's not even appeared in the last couple of match day squads, even when he's been available. So yeah, for me, I feel like at left back or left wing back, we've got Larouche or Festia Pasele who can play there now. And I think Ken Sema, for me, whilst, as you say, is a very good professional, I think is almost third choice in that position now. So would you maybe revise down slightly to C perhaps for Sema?
Yeah, kind of like what I did for you a bit earlier in the video. I think he may have just convinced me. I think it was just purely down to
Yeah,
how long he's been in the club and that
yeah.
bias of because he is a fan favorite. I don't think anyone can really deny that. And I think, like you say, that he won't get much game time now, considering there's considerably more young players now that can take his position and probably do a lot more with it because they have a lot more to give, especially at their age. So yeah, I mean, by all means, I'll let you intervene on this one. I won't say I won't have anything in the picture. You can place it where you need to.
Oh, I'll take what you said into account. I think B probably is slightly too high. And if you agree with me or you agree with Cal, let us know in the comments section, of course, down below. But I think I'm gonna go Ken Sema, just because he's a great servant, upper end of B. But I do think his
Yeah.
time at Watford, C I should say, I do think his time at Watford is coming to an end. Francisco Sierra to Cal, very quickly on him. Where would you place him? He's played a lot of football for Watford lately in that back three system.
He has, yeah, and I think, I mean, for us, I don't think he has. I think if you were to compare him alongside, for example, Matty Pollock or Ryan Porteous, of course, I don't think he has reached the level of them, but he has been quite a solid player for us. I wouldn't say, like I said, he has set the world alight, but he's a very good defender on his day and can really help towards uh, not conceding as many goals as we have done. So honestly, I would probably put him lower end middle of B. Don't know if you'd agree.
Yeah, I would say so. I think again with Sema, he's been here a long time. If I had full control of this tier list, I probably would place Francisco Sierralta alongside Ken Sema in C. But I think I have to take what you said into account. He has been solid at Watford for quite a long time. He's a long servant. But again, like Sema, he's coming towards the end of his Watford career. I do fear. But yeah, to make you happy, Cal, as you say, I'll put him towards maybe the lower end of B.
Yeah,
Right.
I would say yeah, probably lower end of B, right towards the very end of it, because I think if it wasn't for the amount of games he has played and the amount of years that he's been at the club, I would probably slap him in C as well. So yeah, probably right at the very end of B suits him well.
Right, not too many players left now, and of course, at the very end, we will be ranking Tom Cleverley on his performance as manager thus far at Watford this season. Edu Kayembe, the next player, Cal, scored a lot of goals early on. I think he scored a couple of goals against Stoke, which was really good to see. But it's kind of tailed off a bit since then for me, and I feel like the position he's being deployed in currently, in that deeper midfield role, maybe isn't his natural position at the club. For me, Kayembe is right bang in the middle of C alongside people like Tom Ince and Tom Delibishiru. Would you agree with that?
We had an electric start to the season, played 18 games for us, and of course scored 5 goals. Had that insane bubble match towards the start of the season. But yeah, like I agree with you there, he has really tailed off from that. I think no one's really expecting that form to continue because he isn't really a goal scoring type of player. But I think in the like you say there, that's all dependent on the role that he's been deployed in. He has played a lot of attacking midfield towards the start of the season, but I think now moving more into that deeper role, he has kind of tailed off in his form a little bit and kind of settling back into what we probably would have expected of him at the start of the season. So yeah, I probably would put him middle of C, maybe towards the top of C, maybe just above Tom Ince potentially.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Actually, just above Tom Ince, I think is about right. Our midfield maestro, our Moroccan magician, Imran Louzakal. I think I'll take the lead on this one. Start of the season, not so great. I actually felt like his body language signalled he wanted to leave Watford, and that may have been the case. But since then, he's knuckled down, got his way back into the Watford starting 11 in recent weeks. And at the moment, it's probably our best midfielder who's starting games for Watford. So Imran Louza, I'm actually going to put, towards the upper end of B, maybe above or just below Vacuum Bio, I think is fair for Imran Louza because he's only just re-emerged back into the first team. Would you agree with what I've gone with there?
Yeah, I mean there was loads of rumours swirling before the start of the season that he was going to leave. I know there was a Greek club interest in, which I think was Palk, and I think there was a few others as well, a few other outfits in Europe that were looking to get his signature. But he did stay with us, and first few games wasn't too impressed with him because I felt like he could have done a lot better. He wasn't really carrying his weight. I felt like he felt he was probably better off at another club, but. I still think he is a really solid midfielder on his day and really can perform. Really can perform for us in that midfield and outshine players like Sissoko who have that experience with them, and it definitely does show that he has that quality. For me, yeah, I think B is the middle of the road in B is just about where I probably put him. Maybe in terms of just how long he's been at the club for us, and in comparison or in ratio to how good he's been and his quality probably just put him above Vacuum Bio. I think that'll probably make you a bit happy, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think for Bios, taking into account obviously him scoring 7 goals this season, but if you're gonna let me, I will absolutely put Imran Louza
No,
above Vacuum Bio.
the whole reason why I think I probably put Imran Loser just above him because obviously you have to take into account consistency. I mean, footballers and consistency is the most important trait with them. If you're not consistent, then ultimately you aren't going to harness your full potential, your full quality. If you have those games where you're on fire one game and then you're absolutely terrible the next, then you aren't going to really leverage how good you can be across a whole season. In my opinion, I think Imran Loser, even though he was scouted and was wanted by a few outfits, is just testament to how good he can be on his day. So, yeah, I probably put Loser just above Bio.
I'll let you take the lead on the last couple of players, Callum. Pierre Duomo and Yassir Larouchi. Where would they go in your rankings?
Okay, this is an interesting one. I think with Duomo, I mean, he's only played 3 times for us. Again, it's a case of very limited game time, but I think in the carries that he's had, he's looked decent. Honestly, I can't really say much about him if I'm being completely honest. I think again he could probably do with a loan as well. I think he is extremely. I think he is still quite young as well, so he could benefit from playing elsewhere and then coming back to us when he has that bit more experience with him. So for that, I'm going to have to place him. Yeah, I'm going to have to place him in D. I think.
Would you go towards the upper end of D? Because
Upper end of D. Yeah,
I think
I
I
wouldn't pay
think in the
him. Yeah,
appearances he's looked quite good in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Like I said, there, he's a very. Yeah, I can't really say too much about him, just depending on how many games he's played. And like I said, he hasn't had any standout moments for us, so we can't really rank him higher based on that. But yeah, I would definitely put him higher end of B because he hasn't been, as non-existent or hasn't been as disappointing as let's say some of the signings like Jefferson, like Tikvich, and like Caben, where they've not really had that time to have that potential to start and haven't really set the world alight in their positions. But yeah, probably place Duomo there in terms of Yasser Larouchi.
mm,
Yeah, I mean, for us now, he's played 17 times. Been one of our starting left backs. I think he is our starting left back now.
yeah.
17 games, has got three assists for us. So I can't speak. 3 assists for us, of course, no goals, but that isn't really his game. I think in his position, he has honed it a lot better. Obviously, coming in from, he's had some time at Sheffield United and Stade Troyes in the French league, so there's experience in the top leagues. And yeah, for me, for us being so solid for us in the start as a starting left back, I'll probably put him towards the top end of B.
Top end of B, interesting. Um, do I agree with top end of B for Yasser Larouchi? I think going forward, he looks really, really exciting. Probably the most exciting fullback we've had in recent years, actually. But defensively, I still have question marks. So, are you willing to make a compromise and go towards the bottom end of B, perhaps?
Yeah, well, for a compromise, if I'm thinking top end and you're thinking bottom, I think it only makes it right to probably place them straight smack bang in the middle. But actually, no. To be fair, I'll give it to you now. How many are there? There's about 9 players, I think, in B now. So
Yeah.
I'll happily place him in the bottom four of B if that's a compromise you're willing to make.
Yeah, I think I'll go above Rocco Vata because he has played more football. So yeah, let's go. Let's go with that. The last Watford player to rank is Festi Ebisele, who's joined Watford from our favourite club, Udinese, of course, owned by the Pozzo family as well. And Festi Ebisele for me is absolutely electric. As soon as Watford can initiate that buyout clause from Udinese, I really hope we do because, fun fact, Cal, is actually the fastest player in Europe this season. You know, the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A. He's clocked 38.8 kilometers per hour, which is faster than any other professional footballer in the top 5 European leagues this season, which is a real asset to have at Watford, especially when our wing backs play so high as Festi Ebisele does. So for me, yes, he's very good. I think at times in some games he drops off slightly in his performance, and I think maybe it might be another one in this very congested B tier for me, Cal. Definitely, above the likes of James Morris, Bayo, and Loser, perhaps. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yes, he is absolutely rapid, but fast doesn't mean good. I think whilst it's a really valuable asset to have, especially in his position, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are one of the best players in that respective position just because you're fast. That's just my personal opinion. But
Of course, I'm taking
um,
into account not just his speed, but from what I've watched with my eyes as well at Vicarage Road, I'm also taking that into account. Not just
yeah,
that he's as
definitely,
fast
yeah.
as Usain Bolt.
Exactly, yeah. It's extremely rapid, but I think,
Yeah.
he is obviously he's never played in the English leagues before, so that we have to take that into account.
Well, he
And
played at
I think he
Derby,
is.
very early on in his
Sorry, yeah,
career,
that
actually.
is God, yeah,
Yeah.
that's complete. Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely forgot. But yeah, I'm also thinking that obviously the time that he played at Udinese. That's a
Mm.
complete fail there from me. So feel free to put fail in the comments. But yeah, obviously playing at Derby, he obviously did show his speed there. He showed that he can adapt very, very quickly in his position because he can definitely deploy himself in the higher end, in the right wing back to even right wing spaces, which he's
Mm.
shown at Watford this season. So yeah, I still think while he's still young, he's still got bags of potential to show. I think B tier probably suits him just as well.
Right, Cal. This is going to be, a joint discussion around Tom Cleverley. We'll take a little bit more time over this one. Look, I think we both expected at the start of the season for Watford to be maybe in a relegation battle or just towards the bottom end of mid-table. But at the moment, Tom Cleverley has us. You have to say he has us in a playoff race as it stands. Watford are towards the upper end of the championship table, performing way above all of our expectations. Does that warrant maybe an S tier ranking for you? Or would you place Tom Cleverley, in A alongside the likes of Ryan Porteous and Kwadwo Bar? What are your thoughts on Tom Cleverley and how he's performed with this Watford side this season?
Um, right, okay. So with Tom Cleverley, I think he's first of all, I have to give him full credit because he has absolutely smashed my expectations for this season. I was making a prediction myself on where I think we placed in the table right at the start before we played any games, and I was predicting, towards the bottom end of mid-table. I think I was thinking maybe towards the 13th to 15th region, and he's absolutely
Hmm.
smashed that this season. So I
That's
think we
exactly
have
what
to
I
place
said
that
as
into
well.
account.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes. I think we have to take that into account. He has really impressed me with, I think, his tactics. He has that approach, obviously, that link to the club where players know him from when he used to play here, which wasn't so long ago, actually. So he does know the club, and I think that is that's a real advantage. And with his coaching staff as well, which obviously certainly has a great relationship with and is really cohesive and shows they're very cohesive together and can work really well as a team. That has benefited the team or the first team across this season. For me, I think if we're basing it just on expectations, there has been games where we've won, and of course that's brilliant and it's really justified the position that we're in now. But then on the flip side of that, you've got to think there has been some games where he has been at fault. There's been some
Yeah.
games where he's put out of the team, which which necessarily the majority of the fan base haven't agreed with. Some decisions of some substitutes have really impacted games where we could have won or at least got a point from, but we've dropped off in points. And we all know infamously our away form is absolutely dreadful, and that is that I wouldn't say it's purely down to him fully. I think ultimately he does play a part in that, but of course as the rest of the team. But then on the flip side of that, you've got to think the home form. We have one of the best home forms in England, so it's extremely hard. I think he's more of a he has more positive traits than bad, I think, this season, and obviously that has been shown through the position that he's got us in for this season. And if we can obviously kick on to get playoffs, that will justify the position I'm about to put him in. But I'm putting him in top end of A. I'll have put him in S tier, which I think could be controversial. And feel free to slate me in the comments. But I just think, based off of some of the games where I think we probably could have taken up more points just down to his decision making, just makes them miss out on S tier. But for me, I'll put him right at top of A, above Quadro Bar and above
Ryan Porteous.
And above Ryan Porteous. Yeah, the screen's really small. Sorry, yeah, above them two, I probably would just place him there. But feel free to overrule me and put him in S because I can totally understand that if that's the case.
No, you know what, Cal? I agree with you on this one. I think to be in S tier, I think you almost have to be near perfect or perfect. And as you mentioned, Tom Cleverley at Vicarage Road, pretty much has been perfect, but away from home, not so much. You mentioned his team selections sometimes are a bit odd, and some of the decisions he makes in regards to player selections can sometimes be a bit weird. But look, there's no denying our home form is fantastic. We want to obviously continue that moving forward over this Christmas period and into the new year, because that's going to be crucial for hopefully our playoff charge. So, in conclusion, I absolutely agree with you. I think, upper end A tier is exactly where Tom Cleverley needs to go. And if of course, he secures promotion for us this season, he goes straight into that S tier category. And actually, we'll probably revisit this at the end of the season to see how our rankings change. But yeah, let's get Tom Cleverley straight into A tier, just above Quadwo Bar there. If it lets me, it's not letting me. You can pretend. Try
and move Quadro Bar to the second position.
So there you go. It worked. So yeah, that is our final ranking. Before we go, Callum, I'm going to give each of us one override. So take a look at the players who placed there. I'll run through them quickly for you. You've got one override. You can move one player up or down a tier. If you wish to, you may just wish to stay how we are. But in D tier, we've got Kevin Caben, Jeremy Ngakia, Tikvich, Jefferson, Duomo. In C tier, we have Doumbia, Bond, Tom Delly, Tom Ince, Ogbonna, and Kayembe, and Sema. In B tier, we have Sierrelta, Ogbonna, Vata, Larouchi, Sissoko, Morris, Bio, Loser, Festi, Ryan Andrews, and Backman. In A tier, we have Porteous, Barr, Cleverley, and in S tier, we have Georgie Shatfatatse and Matty Pollock. Would you move any of them players up or down, Callum?
Right, okay, I'm just having a look here to see if there's any real noticeable ones that stick out like a sore thumb. I mean, I could put Bio in S tier just to annoy you, but I'm not going to do that.
I would reverse that. I would reverse that instantly.
Okay, I'm just having a look here. I want to take bias out of it in terms of the servants to the club or being homegrown. I just want to go based off their form.
You can choose to stick if you want to as well. Of course, you don't have to make any amendments at all.
I'm just thinking the amount of games they've played this season as well probably plays a bit into it. Just how well they've played into it as well is the main factor here. For me, I'm probably going to be honest, I can't see anything that really notably sticks out. I mean, the only one I had question marks over was Tom Delibishiri, but of course you can't, he's been injured, so you can't really judge him upon, you can only judge him upon how much he's played. Obviously, from the injury, he's not featured since. So yeah, unfortunately, C is a rightful place for him. So yeah, nothing really sticks out. I think I'm sticking personally, but I'll let you override anything that you need to.
Okay, so Callum is sticking. I'm just taking a look through B tier really, because it is very congested in that area. Who have we got in there? We've got Batman, Andrews, Festi, Loser, my best friend Bio, Morris, Sissoko, Larouche, Vata, Ogbonna, Ciarelta. I think the change I will make, and this isn't going to be this isn't going to be surprising to anyone. Take his goals out of it. I just don't think he offers enough for a championship number nine. I watch, so many other teams. The team we're facing, tomorrow, Callum, West Bromwich Albion, Josh Madger, what a fantastic player. Every aspect of his game, hold up play, dribbling, passing, shooting on the site. It's superb to watch. And Bio for me is kind of being over inflated in regards to his goals because of them four he scored away at Sheffield Wednesday. When actually, when you take them goals out of it, I just don't think he offers enough, off the ball, holding up the ball, he just doesn't do it for me. So I'm not actually going to change his tier, but I'm going to move him down a few. So I think James Morris deserves to be above Bio. I think Sissoko probably does. And yeah, I think that's about right. So I think my amendment there isn't actually even going to be changing the tier. I think it's just moving Vacuum Bio a few pegs down in B. So
I'm just going to quickly say something. I mean, I said I want to stick.
yeah.
I'm going to use an overall. It's not going to be on
Oh,
anyone major in the squad. I'm just thinking, look at the bottom of C tier. We obviously got Mamadou Doumbia there, and you look at people in D tier, like you've got the likes of Duomo, Jefferson, where they have featured. I mean, while he has looked positive in the features that he has, I just think you can't really justify the amount of times he's come off the bench, and it hasn't exactly set the wild light for us from to justify a place in C tier. For example, the likes of Tom Ince, who's got goals for us. Edo Kembo's been a mainstay of the team.
that's
So for
true.
me, I would move Mamadou Doumbia just into D tier for now. I'm not saying that's where
Yeah.
he'll permanently stay for us throughout his time in Watford. Like, he absolutely has the potential, and he's shown that in his national team games. But for me, I just think with the level of players that are in a D tier, that's probably where he deserves to be.
I think you're absolutely bang on there, actually, Cal, and thank you for making that observation because, yeah, I think your reasoning is probably correct. So that is our final ranking. As I said, if me and Cal are available, we'll come back to this at the very end of the season and see if we change our minds. So, thank you very much for watching. It's much appreciated. Let us know if you agree with our rankings in the comment section down below. Once again, a big thank you to Callum for appearing on the channel. Callum, what are your plans over the festive period? I hope you're going to be unwrapping and eating lots of presents and food.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've just finished my first term in uni, as you can probably see. Different backdrop, yellow, of course. To obviously, I spent weeks picking this. I'm joking, I didn't. But yeah, I am planning to go back home to see my family. I think that's what Christmas is about, and obviously the
Yeah,
festive period is about. To see my family, not seen them in so long, spend some time with them, eating loads of food, filling myself up. And making sure I'm really re-energized for the start of January because it's going to be a busy year. Of course, I wish all the viewers of the Watford Way as well, because obviously I won't be seeing you now until 2025. I wish you a very happy Christmas, a very happy festive period. Obviously, if you don't celebrate Christmas, just have a great day with your families, enjoy yourselves, and of course, a very happy New Year. And I'll see you guys in 2025.
lovely stuff. Thank you very much, Callum, for appearing on the channel. This video has gone way over the length I anticipated, but yeah, I very much enjoyed recording it, and I'm sure some of our selections may have caused a bit of controversy in the comments, but that's what we like to see, right? A little bit of heated discussion in the YouTube comment section. So
But please do
yeah,
feel free to roast me or James in the comments.
yes, absolutely. I mean, I get it every day anyway, so yeah, I'm absolutely used to that. But yeah, once again, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe. We've got a video coming out tomorrow on Christmas Day, which is me doing a Watford FC quiz. So yeah, make sure you guys watch that on Christmas Day. Other than that, enjoy the festive period with your families, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye bye.